Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is the Vampire Hunter, Josh Finney.
Oh my God. We say this every single week, but it truly, it has been a whole ass week.
Yeah, you're telling me, man. It's been a weird one. It's been a rough one. It's been a strange one. But, we're still doing the thing.
Yeah, we are in fact still doing the thing. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. It has been it's been one of those months, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's about to get a lot busier for us. I mean, in a fun way, but we're about to enter Q4 now, and there's a new Destiny season. I'm still calling them seasons. Fuck calling them episodes. The seasons. There's a new season on the horizon. In 12 days. New dungeon in about 14 days. It's it's a time right now, and hoping, fingers crossed, that it sticks the landing. I'm liking what we're hearing. We got some interesting previews this week. We got a preview event coming up.
Yeah.
Preview stream, in fact, on the 1st, which I believe is next Tuesday.
Yep.
So that's going to be really exciting. There's a lot of peeks at what they're going to be doing with Revenant there. That ought to be a lot of fun to watch. Big fan of them doing these, by the way. I think you kind of have to do these. With how the episodes are set up and staggered, and I think that it's good to let everybody hear from the team, and it's gonna be the first time that they talk on camera about Frontiers, so I'm a little curious to see what they're gonna bring to the table for that discussion too. But yeah, man, this week it's been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, something dropped right after we were done recording on Monday night.
Right.
Like a day later, Metaphor got a demo, played it yesterday. Tiger Jesus was talking about it in chat a little bit. That was a blast.
Yeah.
Opening 4 hours of the game or so, you get to go through two small dungeons, I would say, and one, like the first main dungeon you get to. You recruit a couple party members. You learn how the archetype system is going to work. Very, very cool. Very cool game. Can't wait to play it. It is the first thing I've played this year since Final Fantasy VII Rebirth where I've gone, yeah, this could be game of the year.
Nice.
So, and that's high praise. This is from the creative team that was behind Persona 3, 4, and 5. The person who directed the Royale expansion is actually handling Persona 6. So the Atlas sees this as a pillar. So interesting there. What else did we have this week? Just kind of rapid fire. We had a state of play, which was shockingly good.
Yeah.
I was actually really Ghost of Yote.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I was like blown away by the state of play. That and Hitman VR really saved it for me. But man, to what awesome announcements! Ghost of Yote coming out next year.
You mean wait. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered didn't do it for you, Josh?
So you want to hear about some fuckery? They doubled the complete edition is $20 on PSN, and then they announced the remaster and they bumped the price up by $20.
I know they did.
And
because it's only a $10 upgrade if you own it already.
Right, but I'm saying anybody now who wants to buy that is paying $50 no matter what.
Yeah.
You're paying $50 no matter what. That is...
Oh, that's a...
I have a lot of problems with a game that has already sold like 17 million copies, roughly. I know the last official number we got was like 15, but I'm adjusting for it's been a few years since we last heard.
Yeah.
That franchise altogether has sold like 30 million copies, and you really needed to go bump the price up across the board. That is
not a great look.
It's not a great look. That's one of the most batshit things I've ever seen. They did not do this for The Last of Us Part 2. And they did not do this for Ghost of Tsushima. So and a few others. So I'm a little interested to hear if they respond to this. I know IGN and Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming were both reporting on that earlier today. That's just fucking wild to me. That will never ceases to amaze me, because if it was well, let's say if it was a certain green and black box, we'd never hear the end of it.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. The Ouya. I know what you're talking about, Josh.
yes, absolutely. Actually, I was going for the N gauge, I think.
Oh.
But no, we had that. We had a little Xbox presentation this morning that happened at about 5 a.m.
And Xbox leaked part of it on their dashboard
Xbox.
the night
Oh
before.
man, Xbox and Sony are always leaking shit through their dashboards. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Nice little show. Nothing. Again, like nothing life altering, but really cool
Yeah.
to see the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters finally coming over.
Right.
The Mana games, which have never come to Xbox, 2 of those came straight to Game Pass today. I thought that was pretty cool.
So it's the remake of Trials of Mana, which came to PS4 and Switch already.
Yes.
Secrets of Mana, is that the remake that came to PS4, or is that the just that weird remaster that they put out?
I think it's the remaster.
Okay.
It's the one that everyone hates.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
A lot of people did not like the remaster of this. So,
oh. Well. Anyways, Trials of Mana though, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think both of those coming over is really cool, and that shows like really the kind of the possibilities are endless for what you can bring over. We got that the StarCraft games are finally coming to Game Pass for PC. Right. Thought that was cool. They are making a big push at TGS this year for Indiana Jones and Doom, which was interesting to me.
Yeah, they're both being like completely localized. I see.
Yep, they're both being, and I mean that's been a Bethesda initiative for a little while now. Because remember, it was a really big deal about Starfield when they announced that. And then I know they've been doing that with ESO also. So that was really cool to hear. I don't know, just there wasn't a whole lot out of it, I feel. But yeah. Anything else? I mean, it has been a busy week. It has genuinely been a really busy week. We got a new Metal Gear Solid trailer today.
Yeah, how about that?
God, I am not a big. I'm not the biggest fan of Metal Gear 3, so I don't know how I feel about this one. But I'm really glad for those who like it. Overwatch 2 got a very interesting crossover with My Hero Academia, which those skins are the stuff of nightmares for the most part. They look truly awful. Age of Mythology getting an expansion. A lot of more niche things, I would say.
Yeah.
There were a good amount of Japanese games. Wheel of Katamari coming to Game Pass. Threads of Time was shown. Yeah, so a little bit of something for everybody. Fallout 76 getting pets.
Yeah, I saw that.
Something that really shocked me, Suikoden was there.
Yeah.
The Suikoden remasters, that would not have been on my bingo card if you would have told me, hey, this is going to show up at either the State of Play or the Xbox TGS showcase this week. My money 110% would have been on the PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this on Xbox Casuals though. Like Xbox needs to start making these moves, especially if they're going to start like if they're going to have that handheld. Like that's gonna, if they can make it in Japan, that's going to be the thing that does it, right? And
they
so
had
getting these games over early.
Well, I like that they had Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D there.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. And of course, there's been ongoing rumors about Final Fantasy 16 coming over at some point in 2025. Just really cool to see Japanese companies wanting to come to all three. So we love seeing that. But man,
I was a little shocked that one of the larger Final Fantasy games wasn't coming over. Like 16 was kind of I was a little.
I think we both expected 16 to get announced.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because it just came to PC like a week ago. But
Yeah.
I said this on Monday's Xbox Casuals that I feel like if that had been imminent, that we would have just gotten it on the same day.
Hmm.
I think, okay, we'll do a little bit of a drip feed here, of these games. The coolest thing I saw all week, though, funny enough, was yesterday with the MetaQuest 3 triangle strategy coming to that. That looks fucking awesome.
I did see that.
That looks so cool. I'm about to lose my friend Ray for forever. Them bringing that to VR is just, oh my god, like that's like his dream. So
Yeah.
if you can bring that to the Quest, then I definitely feel like that is in the cards. I don't know if it's come to PlayStation off the top of my head. I don't think it has.
It hasn't. It's only on Switch right now.
Then I would say, man, if we're bringing that to VR, that PlayStation and Xbox are probably going to get that bad boy sometime next year,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool. So more ways to play fun games like that. Like that's the kind of shit I want to see in VR. That's something that's like truly, I feel like a unique experience. Something
Hmm.
like that, or like Hitman. Like Hitman should just be a given. That looks so cool. I'm so much more excited for that than another like half-hour Batman VR game, honestly.
Yeah.
So, Alan
What's
Wake
the bat?
2
What's the
getting another
Batman game
DLC.
called? Arkham
Which
Shadow or
one?
something? The
Yeah,
Batman game?
Yeah, it's Arkham Shadow. They're doing a Metro VR game. Like I actually saw 3 VR games this week that I was like, damn, I want to play these, and I really hope they all come to the Quest, which is far and away the most affordable VR headset. You don't need a PC, you don't need a console. You slap the thing on and go.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're doing VR the best right now. I really hate supporting fucking Facebook, but I really think that the Quest is probably the best VR headset out there right now, especially for the price point.
Oh
If you're
yeah.
just wanting to dip your toes into the water, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So, as long as they get the support for things like Hitman, that would be really cool. I still want to see who is going to get the rights to Half-Life one of these days because it's on. I think it's only on the Vibe right now. Is
It's only
that
on whatever Valve supports.
yeah?
Uh,
Which I think is the HTC one.
yeah.
So I have kind of wondered because we all thought, oh, Half-Life Alex will be announced as a PSVR 2 launch title, and then nothing.
Yeah.
So
And now, I mean, it seems like PlayStation's really abandoning the VR stuff right now. So, I
I
mean,
was
because they're
talking to our friend of the show, Andre, the other day, and we were talking VR and we were talking handheld and stuff, and he was like, "Man, if PlayStation would just make another Vita, if they just make Vita 2, like that thing would sell like hotcakes." And I'm like, "Man, I actually don't know if it would. I think people are really reluctant to buy peripherals from any company that is not Nintendo because they just stop supporting them." Like
I,
PlayStation has done this for 20 years, going all the way back to the iToy.
yeah, I mean, the only way that that thing would sell is if it's just a portable version of their home console, right? I mean, that's what people want now, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you look at the Switch and the Steam Deck, like that's what people want is they want their libraries with them at all times. So, um,
Yeah, they want their libraries with them at all times, and it's funny we were talking about that, and there'll probably be a conversation for Xbox casuals, but just like the idea of like it's going to be a little bit harder for PlayStation to do a portable unit. I think not necessarily like in terms of like specs or anything, but
mhm,
because we now consider them to be like the pinnacle of like tech in the living room as far as a console goes,
mhm.
trying to get that audience to understand that you are going to have a downgraded experience on a handheld in order to meet reasonable budget expectations without having to rely totally on remote play or the cloud is going to be a challenge.
I guess, but you don't think people just understand that naturally
No,
already that the handheld
no.
experience is going to be a downgrade?
I mean, you look at the battle that's been waged for 4 years about the Series S. No, they don't understand it. They don't understand that you are actually buying an inferior product. Like, you are buying something that is the trade-off that you get. Like, I see people just baffled all the time, like, well, Nintendo can make good games for the Switch. Why can't anybody else optimize their shit? Like, because you're Jesus
What's going on
Christ. over there? She's
somebody breaking into
making a
your
cheese.
apartment?
No, Chelsea's making a cheesecake out in the living room, and she's things over. But I hear people all the time be like, like for example, like you look at a game like Control or Resident Evil or something like that, like you have to have the cloud version of it. And just like that, it's the example that I've tried to use when people are like, oh, Destiny 2 should be able to run on the Switch. Like, no, it can't. It literally can't. You will have like you will have a 15 FPS on your screen. That is what you will have.
Yeah.
You will have a terrible experience playing that. Like, no, it's not going to happen. If it was ever going to happen, it would have to be on a dedicated handheld, like the ROG Ally, or sideloading your Steam Deck are the only like good portable experiences you're going to get with that. And even then, like, I'm not going to do anything other than like story missions and like Vanguard ops. I'm not going to play PvP like that. I tried that once on my phone and it was a disaster. Like, it's not going to happen. So I'm interested to see what everybody does. The next couple of years should be really fun for tech. I hope that Sony supports PSVR because I would love a reason to buy one. That being said, you guys are here for Destiny. We have a lot of Destiny to get to. There's a lot of Destiny this week.
Sure do.
Holy shit.
There are 3 huge things to get through, Josh.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I want to start. I guess let's start with the big daddy. Let's start with the dev insight on raids and dungeons, because I think this has had the most conversation over the last couple of days. This got posted yesterday. If you're listening to this on Friday, this got posted on Wednesday on the 25th. Oh boy. All right. So new raids. Raids are a cornerstone of Destiny. They bring fire teams together to tackle overwhelming odds, blah, blah, blah. We already know that. We're still kicking off every year with a new raid, starting with a new raid in Codename Apollo that will stack up against the rich and varied history of experiences in this space. Raids will continue to offer a complete pool of exclusive weapons, armor, and exotics, and these can be obtained at higher tiers by taking on additional challenge. Facing the tall task of following up Salvation's Edge, we are exploring some unique twists on the raid format. This is one area where we will not be giving very much information about in the future, as we don't want to risk spoiling the day one experience for the raid race. So to start with, what the change is, I guess. Let's read. I actually want to read about. I want to read about all the new stuff, and then we'll talk about this, and we'll come back to a few things. Dungeons. If we're going to talk about new raids, we got to talk about new dungeons. Codename Behemoth, the second expansion of the year, will include a brand new dungeon. Also, because the dungeon will be launching as part of our Behemoth expansion, there will no longer be a separate dungeon key. We won! We won! We won!
Did it. Good job, everybody.
Additionally, the reward offering for new dungeons will be expanded to include full weapon and armor sets on par with raids. We won! We won! New raid event! Into the Light introduced a raid boss rush event called Pantheon that put fireteam capability to the test. This event showed us that the community is hungry for new experiences that break out of the mold of our traditional raids and dungeons. So the fourth major update of the year, we're planning for another event that introduces novelty and allows our team to experiment with legacy raid and dungeon offerings to create surprising aspirational challenges. We're very early in the design stages of this event, so more details as we develop them. Okay, so
is this why Wrath of the Machine was trending the other day?
Okay, so that's what I want to get to, because if you're reading along, there are going to be 2 endgame activities a year. A raid in the summer, which I think is a great time to launch your raid, for the record, and a dungeon that's going to launch, I guess, at the beginning of the second expansion of the year, like in January, February, whenever they decide to launch it. I would be lying if I said that I wasn't a little bit disappointed.
Mm.
And I want to state my case for why I'm disappointed, because it's not like, oh my god, I'm so bummed out, I'm so furious on this. Like I've had some time to think about this over like the last 36 hours, and I still don't love it, because I think that getting the one new raid, getting a reprised raid, and getting 2 dungeons was awesome.
Mm.
But when you lose 40% of your staff in a 9-month period, things are going to get cut back on. And it kind of makes sense that activities that people are not going to, that the average player, I should say, is not going to repeatedly play, probably we're going to always be first on the chopping block.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I really, really wish there was a way to still get a raid and 2 dungeons, for example, because the case I was making for this earlier when I was talking with Joe and Johnny in another Discord was that I think the dungeons are a great experience because it's so much easier to get 2 friends to come play a dungeon with you than to get 6 people together for a raid. When you're talking schedules, when you're talking coordination, the fact that they're introducing contest mode to dungeons going forward, I think is really cool. It's now becoming really clear to me that that's why they're going to do contest mode for dungeons, and why they're introducing that now. Is so that way they're doing more than just like one contest mode a year. However, this does raise some questions for me about, we were getting reprised rates, and there's no mention in here about reprised rates. I want to be really clear on that. There is nothing. The closest that we get is with the raid event that they talk about. The basically whatever the next iteration of Pantheon turns out to be. Experiment with legacy, raid, and dungeon offerings. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that a legacy raid offering means something that is still in the game, such as Last Wish, Garden of Salvation, Vault, maybe things that just aren't being played very much anymore, but are still there. The reason why I'm a little disappointed, like, yes, we're all memeing about Wrath of the Machine. Yes, I would love to see Wrath of the Machine come over. I do think inherently that is a little bit harder to bring over, because at least with the Dreadnought, that was a separate removed space, and we're actually going to be going back there in the story. With Vault, again, separate removed space. I think with Wrath of the Machine, it's because it's a totally different type of fallen enemy. It's a little bit different to try and bring that back, right? So, as much as I want Wrath, I can forgive Wrath not coming back. And I would be able to forgive it easier if we hadn't been teased about it, because they were saying, well, if we bring back a raid in the future where we've already brought that exotic into the game, then there will be a new exotic, and that's pretty much the only raid it ever applied to, if we're being totally honest, with the exception of Courtesan. Courtesan had no land beyond attached to it, or you can at least get it to drop in there. Don't take that as gospel, but that's the only place you could get it. But it didn't really have a gun attached to it, so like, okay, fine. I think when I get disappointed about this, it's more of, this is kind of dashing the hopes that things like Leviathan or Scourge or Crown are going to come back. And yes, I get it. There was a story reason for that content to disappear. The fucking Leviathan is still in the skybox of the moon. The thing's just chilling there. It's just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to tell me we didn't pilot that bad boy into the Traveler? Like, I'm just saying. Then again, the Leviathan is probably like way bigger than the Traveler. But
yeah,
I take issue with it, because those are 3 raids and 2 layers that just presumably are never coming back now. And that's really frustrating to think about. And I understand the explanation that we were given about things like Crota and King's Fall and Vault was, well, for us to bring over a D1 raid, we basically have to completely build it from the ground up again. Which, listen, I totally get it. Like, when it comes to Wrath of the Machine, if that's with the team you have, if that's why we're not going to get Wrath, I'm totally okay with it. But I think that there has been an expectation set, because we've gotten the other 3 raids, that, and I am a huge part of this. I am a huge part of. I was expecting this, and I'm fine with not getting it if that's going to be the reason. But now that content is effectively dead. Like, it is really hard to get a group together in D1 to go raid. And I'm fine with the areas from D1 not coming over. I'm fine with the strikes not coming over. Like, the game has just evolved so much since then. That is literally one piece of content that I think still should be brought over. And I think, I don't want to speculate, but I'm going to a little bit. I think that had you not seen the massive cuts this summer, you would have gotten it at some point. That being said, you have 5D2 raids, well, 3 raids and 2 layers that should be brought back at some point. And it's really frustrating for me to think that, man, this content just is kind of gone forever. It's been out of the game longer than it was ever in the game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a great feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of taking content out that people paid for. Seasonal content, I get it. Okay, I get it. We don't need 15 arena-based modes. Nobody's going to go run deep dives 2 years later, things like that. I get that. The seasons kind of live on in their exotic missions and, in dungeons and things like that. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. With raids, it's like that's pinnacle content. I don't think pinnacle content like raids and dungeons should ever be removed, especially ones that you had us pay for. Mm-hmm. I think anything, especially post Beyond Light, basically can never be taken out now because you charged separately for those dungeon keys, and by all indications, you are going to continue selling said dungeon keys. Because I think now to take those away now, it just kind of makes you look like an asshole if people have already been paying for them. So you're in this interesting catch-22 scenario. One of each, yeah, and fine. It is what it is. Ronnie made a point in the Discord earlier, which is something that I have seen an awful lot of content creators saying online. If you thought we were going to get more than 1 raid a year, you're unrealistic. Again, I think if you expected more than 1 new raid a year, you were being unrealistic. That went out the door years and years ago.
Yeah.
But that was part of the reason why they pivoted to giving us the reprised raids. So I'm not even advocating like, oh, you have to bring over Wrath. I'm saying like, give me back the Leviathan. Give me back Crown, Give me back Scourge. Give me something. Like, I don't think there's any reason, especially in a Fallen themed season, I don't see any reason why you can't bring Scourge back. Getting new Pantheon-esque events is awesome. Totally agree. Love that. New dungeons now with raid tier loot. Very good. Yep, totally agree. If we had more than 1 raid a year, we would have 2 Root of Nightmares style raids, more than likely. I don't disagree with you. But I don't think that Root of Nightmares was Root of Nightmares because they were like strapped for time, for instance. Like that raid, yes, it's very easy. Yes, we've all memed it to death. That raid is still really well designed, though. I still I stand by that. That raid is still really, really well designed. I'm totally fine with that raid. It's just I think it came out at a really bad time, and the people who play these raids repeatedly clearly want more of a challenge, which is great. But I think that everybody needs to go ahead and lower their expectations big time, because if you think that we're going to get a Salvation's Edge raid every single year, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to be completely and totally honest with everyone. I think it's more than likely that the raid and dungeon team are the same team now. Instead of having raid team and a dungeon team, I think they basically what's left of those teams is probably mixed together at this stage, which would explain why dungeons are going to be treated more like raids now. On the surface, I don't have a problem with what they're doing. I do worry if 1 raid and 1 dungeon a year is enough to sustain that hardcore audience, because we've seen that even the raid, Salvation's Edge, I feel like people stopped doing that within a month or 2. I know people who got so frustrated with that raid, they just never went back to it. Just they literally put the game down for a month or 2 because they were so frustrated with that raid. So And like dungeons never really seem to hold people's attention, especially with, we're going to talk about some of the changes they're making to the dungeon. If you complete the dungeon within the first 48 hours on contest, it has to be on contest mode, you are guaranteed icebreaker. For a lot of people, once you get that, they don't care about going back, and you're not going to have a full loot pool right now. You have a couple weapons, you're going to have a set of armor, and that's going to be it. You don't have the full loot pool like you're going to have in the Behemoth dungeon. So I can see people just getting icebreaker and dipping and saying, I don't really care unless you're title chasing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bummer. Like, I understand you got to do something to get people interested, to get the casual audience interested in wanting to go and play it on contest. I do think that the change of, hey, we're going to do it on contest, but as soon as the first 3 teams have cleared, your contest clearers, as soon as they have cleared, you're going to have the option to go in on regular. That is just an awesome change. I love that. I would like to see that for raids going forward. And I do have a feeling that's gonna happen. Like, oh yeah, hey, as soon as World's First happens, we're gonna drop you a we're gonna drop normal in there or something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
great, would be a cool idea. So that way you're not losing an entire weekend. And I think like for a dungeon especially, that's a good idea because again, easier to get 3 people together than get 6 people together. So we are having a few more changes to raids, which I wanted to talk about that I like. Raid feats. Current iteration of master raids and challenges have followed a similar format for a few years now, so it's time to change the formula. Starting with Apollo, new raids will support raid-specific form of challenge customization, where players can select modifiers called feats, which will expose and enforce rules such as time trials, contest-level combatants, or other mode modifiers unique to the raid. The more feats active during the run, the better chance to earn higher-tiered rewards. And in the first major update following Apollo, the raid will receive a challenge update, adding new rewards, mechanics, feats, and potentially even new encounters. This update will kick off with a raid race event and be a venue for experienced raiders to further challenge their skills. In addition to the highest tiers of the raid rewards being available from these challenges, new and exclusive rewards will be added as well, including new weapons and a catalyst for the raid's exotic weapon. I love this. I love the idea of a raid evolving over time. It gives you incentive to go do it. Again, like seeing things like this added is what's making like not getting a reprised raid sting a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of wish there was like a healthier way to do this. Like, oh, maybe you add this with Behemoth, but I understand why you wouldn't put that out then, because then people are confused on what they need to buy.
Yeah.
So like, I get it, but yeah, and I think that's something that will bring the people who put it down after a month or two back.
Yeah.
It gives them reason to come play, and that's cool. Like, I like the idea of that. I like that they're already promising that there are going to be new weapons and a catalyst, so it's giving you a reason to go in. I do wonder if that means that you can't get the raid title until that first major update, until 3 months in. I do wonder if that's how that's going to be structured going forward.
Maybe.
But that's like small potatoes,
Yeah.
right? Like, I like all the changes except for the fact that one raid, one dungeon a year. Don't know how I feel about that in principle yet. I think really where you're going to struggle is again the one dungeon, but 3 months into Behemoth, you're going to drop a Pantheon-esque activity. Okay, that'll get the hardcore base playing again, and that's the thing. Like, even if you're only seeing those numbers spike every couple months, you're still gonna have people come back. You're still gonna get your users. You're still gonna sell those expansions and those seasons and things like that. You're still gonna sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's trade-offs to everything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Any other thoughts on this? I don't think we have any more questions on this.
No, I think a lot of the changes are good. I think a lot of these things they're adding are good on paper. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what the new event is, and is it Pantheon? Is it different? Is it I'm excited to see this new dungeon and kind of see how things may or may not have changed in terms of design with all the things that have happened within the last year. And I don't know, I'm intrigued, as they say.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I really hope the next one that they introduce is because they say it's going to pull from raids and dungeons. I'd like to see it pull from dungeons first. I think
Hmm.
that way the next time you do Pantheon, you've got Salvations, you've got the Apollo dungeon, and then whatever comes after Behemoth to pull from.
Hmm.
So whereas you've never done something like this with dungeons, you can pull those right away.
Hmm.
So that's what I would like to see. All right. Moving on, combatant modifiers and more. Um, all right. So Banes. We're gonna start with Banes. Um, Known as combat affix modifiers. An enemy unit with a Bane will present a different challenge to players according to which Bane is affecting them. Enemies that spawn with these modifiers appear unpredictably during an activity, so each run will present a different challenge. Two of the Banes that will be releasing in Episode 2 Revenant as we start testing out this system ahead of Frontiers. Meteors and Shock. Meteor's Bane gives combatants the ability to launch solar projectiles that track but can be shot down. Shock will continuously build up a charge that will discharge on a single target within line of sight. Killing a unit with this Bane causes it to spread to others nearby. So the solar projectile reminds me of like the proving ground strike where you have the orbs
Hmm.
flying out and chasing you. That's what that kind of reminds me of. Other in development Banes they are working on that are still in development, subject to change. Berserk. Killing combatants with Berserk causes other combatants nearby to enrage. Punchable. Punchable combatants are immune to all ranged damage and damage from status effects until they are hit with a melee attack. This one right here is the one that I've seen a lot of people get upset about, specifically regarding GMs.
Hmm.
Because if that one's in a GM, you're gonna have to run out and hit it and hope you don't get one hit punched.
Hmm.
I would assume the little clip here shows nothing to the contrary. I would assume that a ranged melee attack, a ranged charged melee, like a throwing knife, for instance, or a throwing hammer, would work on this. Um, if it does, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. I think if you have to actually run up and punch, though, that's where it gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
Um, I do like the idea of the challenge, but yeah. And then nuclear. Once a unit with nuclear reaches low health, it begins an arming sequence. If the unit is not defeated before the sequence completes, it explodes in a massive fiery shockwave.
Ooh.
I, I'm interested in these. I always like the idea of changing up how enemies can attack you. But the most common criticism I saw of Banes was, did you learn nothing from champs? Oh, I can't wait for melee whiffing to get me killed. And that, I will say, that is a realistic concern for me. I can't tell you how many times I've had a melee whiff on me. The tracking on melees is pretty rough.
Hmm.
And I can tell you right now, the first time that I miss a punchable champ or a punchable enemy, because they aren't going to be champs. Champs will not have these banes affixated to them, thank God. I will throw my controller. I just, yeah. Enemy modifiers are going to be used to change base aspects of all enemies in an activity. Adjust strategy to account for an active enemy modifier, or you may end up flat-footed when something unexpected happens. For example, under certain enemy modifier shipping in Revenant, some enemies may have copied some tricks about booby trapping their drops from a famous Scorn Baron. So, love that. And then combat modifiers. Mods aren't just about changing enemies, they can affect players too. Surge mods are a classic modifier type that's been used for years in Destiny ritual activities. We've come to realize too many forceful build crafting modifiers can become barriers for players. So we've been working to create new modifiers that are more accepting of varied strategies and builds. More to come. Um, Champs still exist in the near future for modifiers, but they will not have any banes. In Revenant, so this is a question that's here. Can Bane stack on an enemy? In Revenant, only one Bane can be present on an enemy at a time. That tells me they're definitely experimenting with having multiples on. And I would guarantee you're going to see these in raid races. I would actually be floored if you did not have Meteor and Shock in the new dungeon on contest mode. I'd be absolutely floored.
Hmm.
Are you replacing all old modifiers with these new ones? No, we are trying to strike a balance of keeping the best of the old modifiers that work well with the new ones, but these new modifiers raise the bar enough that we will most likely start to retire the older ones over time. fine. Some of these have been around since D1. It's time. It's time
Yeah.
to move on. I'm okay with it. Again, anything that keeps the game feeling fresh and feeling like we're updating things and we're moving into a new era is a good thing.
Yep.
So, really not a whole lot to say about these. I think these are awesome. I think it's a great idea. I'm just a little concerned about that melee one. A little concerned about that, but I think the other four sound really interesting.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's always room to expand on these. I wouldn't be shocked if we started seeing new Banes be introduced in things like exotic missions or in raids and dungeons before coming to the base game, like we've seen
Yeah.
in the past with raid mechanics becoming campaign mechanics, or
Yeah.
patrol mechanics even. So, a little interested on that.
Yeah, I think the Banes again on paper sound interesting and cool. I feel like this is going to be something
Mhm.
they're going to be tweaking over the next however long to make sure they get them right before, the next big wave of huge pieces of content start coming out.
Well, speaking of huge pieces of content, we've got two more really big things to talk about. The first is the brand new dungeon dropping on October 11th with contest mode, Vesper's Host.
What a cool name, by the way. First of
First
all.
of all, bitchin' name. Also, what the fuck are we looking at in this key art? It looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's very like Tangled Shore and like Vexified.
Yeah, it's super cool looking.
I'm kind of wondering if this is like a super weapon that like Clovis created and it got taken over by the Vex, because the the uh the calligraphy used here really makes me think that it's Vex themed.
Yeah.
So I really like that. Vespers host a new raid dungeon coming with Revenant, will be released on Friday, October 11th. It'll be the first dungeon to have contest mode. We're also excited to announce the dungeon race. So the first three fire teams to finish the dungeon will be crowned winners and rewarded. For those brave guardians looking to take on the challenge, here's what you can expect. Contest mode will be up for 48 hours. Normal mode will be made available as soon as the first three teams clear the dungeon. You will need to be at 1985 power to be at the cap throughout all the encounters. So that should be very easily, everybody should be at level to try this.
Yeah.
Assemble a fire team of 3 players and start the Vesper's Host dungeon in contest mode from the planet system map. All fire team members must own the Final Shape dungeon key and acquire the quest Rogue Network from Spider in the Last City seasonal hub.
Ooh.
Interesting. We going back to the Elixir Quarter. Completion criteria. Of course, it's just like it always has been. Must loot the final chest, or your finish may not be recorded. And one member of the fire team at least must have completed and received loot for every encounter. It must be the first time completing the activity for all members of the fire team. Contest mode applies very specific rules to raids and now dungeons. Enemies are more aggressive. Encounters feature resurrection tokens, and some encounters will have an enrage mechanic that limits the number of phases or the time players have left to complete it. Also, character power does not provide an advantage above the recommended level. Those of you that triumph over this challenge during the first 48 hours after the dungeon launches will earn bragging rights, a special emblem, and the dungeon exotic weapon. Yes, it is a guaranteed reward during contest mode. For those who aren't interested in contest, you won't have to wait 48 hours to take your shot at the dungeon. Normal mode will be enabled as soon as the first 3 fire teams have completed the dungeon. I love it. I
Yep.
love it. This is great. This is fantastic.
Yep.
Making it exactly like a raid race. I am a huge fan of this. It's up for 48 hours. I look forward to trying it that night. I believe myself, Joasis, and A1 Johnny are going to be jumping in and running it together. Very excited for this. I love the idea of DPS checks in contest mode on a dungeon. I'm very excited for that. We've never had enrage mechanics in a dungeon before. So, really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Seems cool.
I think this is going to be just an awful lot. I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. So,
Yep.
Looking forward to that. The dungeon race will be streamed on Twitch Rivals. There are 2 special emblems that you can get through there. Yeah. And then, God, I can't wait for this. Like, Vesper's Host. I cannot wait for this.
It's such a cool name.
This is such a fucking cool name. The key art is awesome. I think it's the first time we've ever gotten key art for a Destiny dungeon release, unless I'm mistaken. So I think this is cool. Again, my personal thought is that this is some kind of golden age satellite, and it looks like, judging by the cables and stuff, it looks like it is somewhere in the Tangled Shore.
Yeah.
I'm sure the
And if
Fallen are involved somehow.
if you get a quest from Spider, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that seems
I mean, he could be sending us there to go raid the treasures. You never know. So
sure.
it could be Vex themed. It could be Fallen themed. I think Vex or Fallen are like kind of the only two it could be at this point. I expect the Dread to show up at some point, just because they need to. We rushed to get them into the game, and haven't really seen them since. We've seen them bare minimally since. So
Right.
the Revenant Act 1 developer live stream, of course, we talked about that earlier, October 1st at 10 a.m. Pacific. Share a detailed look at everything coming in the first act of Revenant, along with an early chat detailing some of the upcoming changes that will arrive with Frontiers. This emblem is awesome. I hope that I actually get it this time, because I almost never get the Bungie drops, which is a bummer. And oh boy, we have a huge PvP update here. This is basically the rest of the TWAB. Is a gigantic PvP update for Revenant.
Nice.
I brought a drink. I brought a beverage, so
A
we can kind of,
beverage.
yeah. I brought a beverage. We can just kind of fly through this.
Josh, there's
Um,
charts.
oh god, there's charts.
There's
Charts.
numbers. There's lines. There's itty bitty words on these things that I can't read them from this far away. Oh god, I love these things.
I really love these things too. I was trying to remind myself what, because the first thing they lead off with is Solitude. And I had to remind myself because we haven't seen this map in years, but it's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I
Uh,
totally forgot about this map.
I'm a little ashamed. I had to Google it to figure out which Mars map is it that they were bringing back. But I do really, really like Solitude. Big fan of this one. I do like what they say right away. Some small changes to geometry and spawn locations,
Nice.
to improve map flow, and it has been set up to immediately drop into comp and 6v6. We're going to hold off on adding it to trials while we verify the competitive integrity of the map in the live game. Good. A brand new map, I don't think should ever be added to trials in the season that it is there. You need to make sure the spawning actually works on that map, the competitive play flows well. Yeah, that's a no-brainer decision. Updated UI decisions. During combat, class items will return, displaying in place of guardian rank on enemies. Thank God. Thank God. I want to be able to see who I'm fighting. We've also added assisted by callouts to the death screen that will tell you when the person who defeated you was assisted by another guardian or guardians. And the tombstone ally will show the tool of their destruction in case you missed it in the kill feed. That is a big one for me. I really like that.
Yeah.
So that way, like, if you know that somebody's, the example they use here is a hand cannon, if someone's a crack shot, there you go. You know what killed them, and there's no more getting surprised by a Jotun around the corner. It's happened to me more than a couple times in my Destiny career. Uh, Updating the mercy rules. We've done a pass over the mercy rules for 6v6. Moving forward, we've extended the window within which a game can mercy and close the gap between disabling join in progress and enabling a mercy. So join in progress will only be disabled if a mercy is imminent. Due to the increased window, we expect the number of games that end in mercies to increase, but as soon as we have enough data, we will tune the mercy trigger limits for the corresponding game modes as needed. I'm fine with this. I don't know anybody who's going to sit here and complain about the mercy window, but big fan.
Someone will.
Yeah, because I mean they note here about how a mercies can often bypass that window and play to full completion, and it just doesn't feel good when you're at when you lose a match like 125 to 42 or something. It
Yeah.
just never feels good
Yeah.
when things spiral out of control. Comp, we have two changes coming to the comp playlist in Revenant. We've reduced the variability of points granted based on the skill delta between the two teams. And we have changed the way placement matches work to make it more accurately track towards your expected rank. A fan of both of those. Those are both pretty small challenges, but should affect the overall health of that playlist. Um, God, there's a whole thing about lobby balancing here. Jesus Christ. Um,
That's
in
always good to
update
hear.
8.0.5, we'd plan to ship a new variant of Snake Draft designed to improve upon some of the issues caused in the base version, but we ran into a bug where in some abnormal situations, fire teams could end up split between the teams. So we had to disable that system while we got a fix in place. The situation did give us an opportunity to test out a new lobby rank averaging system that was originally intended to be a fallback for Snake Draft should it ever not be able to effectively make a match. Lobby rank averaging works much the same as average skill, except we rank the players in the lobby from best to worst, so 1 through 6 for 3v3 or 1 through 12 for 6v6, and then balance the teams based on each player's rank within the lobby instead of their exact values. This allows us to still generally balance the lobby, but makes it highly unlikely the best player in the lobby will end up with more than the fair share of lower skilled players in order to drag down the actual skill average. Under this system, most matches end up with skill allocations like we would expect from Snake Draft. While there are fewer ways the players can be balanced while achieving the same average on each team compared to average skill, we still experience some situations where the top 3 players can be placed on the same team alongside the bottom 3 players and can create an odd team dynamic where the critical mass of highly skilled players on one team rolls over the opposite team composed mostly of the average players. All told, this makes 4 different variants of lobby balancing we've tested in the live game. Now we believe we have corrected the issue in our improved Snake Draft. We'll be rolling it out as our 5th TLDR, lobby rank average, which was active from 8.0.5 onward, didn't always work well for solo games, so it worked better than base Snake Draft for fire teams. We have fixed an issue in the newest variation of Snake Draft that could lead to pre-made fire teams being split up, and we'll be re-rolling it in 8.1. While we have our improved Snake Draft, will be the primary lobby balancer, entering Revenant. Lobby rank average will be the fallback. Cool. That's a whole lot of technical jargon for they're trying to fix matchmaking once again.
Great.
There's a lot for sandbox here, but I think the funniest one is we're going to be placing a cap on the amount of crouch inputs you can enter per second to equalize hold to crouch with toggle crouch in terms of its behavior. This limit is something that can be tuned, and because a tactical crouch or two during an engagement is an expression of skill and not something we want to discourage, we verified in our playtesting that our first pass was set so that it would be difficult to tell a limit existed if you were crouching at normal cadence. Our goal is to reduce the amount of untargeted crouch spamming done either manually or via macros encountered while playing Crucible. So basically, you can't teabag at lightning speed anymore.
What?
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you? I only do it. I only do it to A1 Johnny. So I don't understand why we're doing this.
It's ridiculous. My tea bags need to be dipped at a quite the record pace, Josh.
Jesus Christ.
I need the flavor. Oh.
So, okay. So, nerfs and buffs that are coming. There's some here. Adaptive hand cannons. The base damage is going to go from 44.7 to 44.5. And crit hit damage is going to go down by 0.2 points from 80.3 to 80.1, and slightly reduces 3 tap range once damage fall off has begun. Adaptive auto rifles are getting a nerf of 0.2 points, and high impact pulse rifles crit hit damage is going to go down from 40.1 to 39.6, and that is because those subfamilies specifically are grouped at the very, very top of the high skill gap players. Buffs. Adaptive SMG's base damage is going to go up from 10.9 to 11.5 to decrease the body shot time to kill. Precision auto rifles base damage is going to go up by 0.4 points from 19 to 19.4, and crit damage 33.6 to 33.95. Reduced the nerf they received in Into the Light by 50%. High impact autos are going to go up by a full point from 22 to 23, and crit damage similarly 40.1 to 41.4. Slightly increases the forgiveness and range after damage fall off on those high impact autos. Precision hand cannons are going to see a huge jump in base damage from 40.4 to 45.3, and crit hit damage from 70.25 to 70.2 to decrease the body shot time to kill. Heavy burst hand cannons are going to go up by 0.2 points, and the crit hit damage will go up by 3.2 from 49.6 to 52.8. Heavy burst pulse, the crit hit damage is going to go up just slightly by about 0.6, and the RPM is going to be increased to 320. And decrease the optimal time to kill a little bit. And then your aggressive scouts are going to go up by 0.7 from 91.1 to 91.8 to allow better interaction with damage boosts. That's a lot there, but not as bad as some of the ones that we've gotten before. Special and heavy weapons, they're still working on the ammo meter system.
Jeez.
We don't have much to share on special weapons at this point in Revenant. We're going to begin walking back some of the flinch increase that sniper rifles receive to try and find a good balance between taking damage, knocking them off their shots, and the movement of the camera itself feeling too jarring to use. Trace rifles are also getting a slight buff. Base PvP ammo increased from 25 to 29, and sniper rifles reduced camera roll flinch against players by 10%. I love this. The Crucible heavy weapon meta is dominated by a single weapon with a single roll. Hammerhead, adaptive machine gun with 4 times the charm and killing tally. And this fucking chart is hilarious to look at. It is so far an outlier. Like 31% of players are using this.
Yeah.
That is absolutely fucking wild.
I know.
Absolutely fucking wild to me when you look at this. I'm trying to think of like anything. I mean, the next closest is Adept Cataphract at like 9%.
Yeah.
To get a non-adept weapon, you have to go back to Commemoration at 6%. I find that just incredibly funny. The amount of times I've been killed by Crux Termination and fucking Edge Transit, you would think that they should be higher up on this list, but no, they're not. Which is funny. My Crossland is on the list before those, I think, which makes it even funnier. While the numerical dominance of this one weapon is concerning, it's difficult to tune it down without nerfing the perks themselves or the adaptive machine gun subfamily, despite none of the other members overpowering by anywhere near the same margin. Instead, we're going to be looking at slightly reducing the prevalence of heavy ammo in 6v6 overall, while buffing other underperforming heavy weapon types slightly to better compete. The first pass in Revenant will be reducing the total number of heavy ammo spawns in Control from 5 to 4, and in a future release we'll also look at how heavy ammo works in modes like Iron Man or Fortress. If this is not effective in spreading out the usage, we can revisit the amount of ammo certain machine guns earn from heavy crates. High impact machine guns increased crit hit damage by 4%. Heavy ammo grenade launchers direct impact damage has been increased by 7% to 26%, depending on the blast radius stat, to make accurate fire more effective against guardians with overshields or damage resistance. And then rapid fires increase damage and detonation by a further 7%. We're also investigating heavy ammo linear fusion rifles for a future release, looking to branch them off from their special ammo brethren by reducing their flinch taken from players. I think that's just so fucking funny that Hammerhead is that far out ahead. That will never stop being funny. It's at fucking 31%. Nothing else is even in double digits.
It's so far. This is so ridiculous.
It's funny in the absolute most maddening way, I'm sure, for
just imagine what this chart would look like if Hammerhead wasn't even there. Like how
yeah.
Everything is so scrunched together.
It would be more prevalent. Like it would be better. We knew this was the risk with Hammerhead, right? Like we all knew this was going to happen. We all remember how it terrorized in Gambit and in PvP before, and we're like, oh great, Hammerhead's back. 6 months later, oh great, Hammerhead's the most dominant fucking heavy weapon in the history of the Crucible. Great. There's a big section on trials. All right, so this has been a hot topic today. We definitely have a question about this from Ronnie, which I will get to when we get to that section. Trials changes for Revenant. During the next episode, we're currently planning on running trials with the following maps, including Dissonance, Cirrus Plaza, Eventide Labs. If you're keeping track at home, those are the 3 brand new maps we got with the map pack. Jav 4, Burnout, Endless Vale, Altar of Flame, Wormhaven, Rusted Lands, Midtown. Let them know if you like those maps for trials. I tell you right now, Jav 4 is trials the map. I fucking love that map for Trials. In terms of rewards, we want to add new and exciting rewards, improve the ones that currently exist in the loot pool, and strike a better balance in terms of what rewards can be earned each week. For Revenant, we are introducing a newly buffed, strong statted, heavy burst hand cannon to the loot pool. Yesterday's question, alongside a revision of the rocket launcher, tomorrow's answer. So yesterday's question will be an arc heavy burst hand cannon. Column 3 will have air trigger, fourth times the charm, dragonfly, rapid hit, to the pain, redacted, and redacted.
Mm.
Then column 4 will have desperate measures, head seeker, eye of the storm, moving target, volt shot, vorpal weapon, zen moment. The origin traits will be trial and crucible, and then tomorrow's answer, which is a void high impact rocket launcher, air trigger. God, I fucking hate air trigger. Danger zone, envious assassin, impulse amplifier, tracking module, redacted, and then column 4, bait and switch, bipod, chain reaction, cluster bomb, explosive light, frenzy, vorpal. With the origin traits, Trials, Crucible, and Cassoid. Cassoid is, of course, the one that Rasarago 4 uses, that the Summoner uses. It is Yield Telesto Foundry. So I'm very interested to see how that is on a rocket launcher. I really want to know what these redacted perks are, because, man, column 4 on that Void rocket, bait and switch, bipod, chain reaction, explosive light, all 4 of those are fucking awesome perks for a rocket launcher. The arc heavy burst hand cannon, I'm already looking at fourth times. I'm looking at dragonfly. I'm looking at rapid hit. I'm looking at head seeker, moving target, and volt shot also. This could be, I mean, God, the high impact, it has envious assassin and impulse as well as tracking on that first column. Like, these could be 2 really good weapons. Those are really good perk pools right out of the park.
Yeah.
So I like those. I want to see what the redacted ones are, but I'm a big fan. Trials awards subfamilies, including the heavy burst, pulse, and the aggressive scout. We already read those off. Those have been increased as well. So that is that we have the heavy burst that's in there, and then we have the we have another Trials scout. It's not the scholar, I don't think. It's the prophet. That's something I'm thinking of, the prophet, and I want to say Aisha's curse is the heavy pulse. So you've got those. All right. So here comes part of it. We've also updated the post-game standard non-adept weapon reward. The weekly weapon now has a focused 50% drop rate compared to the others, instead of being the only weapon that can drop. This way, even if the weekly weapon is not something you are interested in, you still have a good chance to earn the other Trials weapon rewards. I like that. Big fan. To take a big swing at things, we're also going to be running a very special variant of Crucible Labs class-based Trials Labs. No more than one of each class per team, so every team must comprise of a Titan, Hunter, and Warlock with no duplicates. We currently have this scheduled to run twice during the season. We are very interested to hear your feedback on how it plays. Matchmaking will be active, so you can play in a solo or in a duo, and the matchmaking will find players who do not match your class to fill out your team. I like the idea of that. I think that'll cut down on the number of hunters, especially. Prismatic Hunter is continuing to be a massive problem in PvP, specifically in the 3v3 playlists. I'm very interested to see how this plays out, because I think, again, on paper, this should be a good change, but I know that a lot of PvP mains are not going to be like being told how they have to play the game.
Right.
Which, I get it. This is endgame. You shouldn't be forced into playing a specific way if you don't want to. A lot of folks play as hunters in endgame PvP. So, interested to see how that goes. And then a couple of additional changes that are currently being tested, and they hope to release sometime during Revenant, increasing Osirian Cypher's cap and allowing them to have a chance to drop as a post-win reward on 7-win cards, and reducing the stratification of Fireteam matchmaking to allow duos to match trios more often, with the goal of providing loss forgiveness for any solo that gets brought in to fill out the game alongside the duo if they complete the match. I like that. I do like that, because I think that solos, like me, I can't tell you the amount of times I've matched up with a duo against a trio. It kind of sucks. You're the one person who can't communicate that's on the team. So I do like the idea of that for sure. The future Trials changes, however, is the place that has people buzzing the most, and not in a great way. Other things they are aiming to do with the big Trials rework for Heresy. Add new aesthetic rewards to Trials, including a new armor set for each class, new ship, sparrow, ghost, and exclusive emblem. This is one of the things I was really bummed out about when we got the final shape, is there was no new Trials armor. And by the time we get this, it will have been 2 years since the last Trials armor dropped. That's kind of wild to me in your, basically in your endgame PvP mode.
Yeah,
That's
this reminds me of when we went so long without the new Iron Banner.
Iron Banner was basically 2 years too. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. We're absolutely fucking ludicrous. Um, Make the challenger pool less of an all or nothing experience that prioritizes flawless or bust gameplay. Lean on what we've started with the flawed card rewards to reward win streaks, making it feel like it's not a waste of time to play, even if you fall at the gates. I like that. I cannot tell you the amount of times we've gotten to like 6 wins and just cannot get over the hump. I do like that idea. I think that adding better rewards, such as adding the chance for an extra engram to drop if you're playing in a trio, for instance. I think that was a good first start. Changing it to where the only weapon that will drop isn't just the weekly weapon. You have a 50% chance for that, 50% chance for something else. I really like that. As someone who really, really struggled to get Cataphract in his inventory for the longest time, I like that change.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of that change. We want to improve the story of the flawless set of aesthetic rewards so that the high skill players can flex appropriately. Seeing a player with a specific armor glow or a new Trials emblem should mean something special, not just be a generic trophy. Agreed. This is my biggest problem with Trials, I think, is the issue is they've put so many weapons into Trials that are just baller, that you need, like that are the best even for casual Crucible players or even in PvE. We have seen this going all the way back to Mountaintop Recluse. We've seen this going back to Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. Like that whole Forsaken year, we saw this. And we've continued to see it since, except this time, this time it's in Trials. We have seen that in Trials time and time again. Summoner, Shayura's Wrath. We all remember Immortal completely terrorizing us last year. We've gone through this with a few other weapons from there. Cataphract is the second most used heavy in the Crucible. Adept Cataphract is, and it was by far and away the best heavy GL you could be using during Into the Light. Like it's not even a fucking question. Like it was to the point in those end game Pantheon runs where you either had to have that or you had to have the God Roll Edge Transit to even come remotely close to the damage you could do with 6 Cataphracts. That's crazy to me. But like I get it. I get why you have to have good rewards, because that entices people to come play Trials. That gets the casuals in, which leads me to this next point. And this is the one where I think a lot of folks have taken issue with, and I kind of have myself, honestly. However, for Trials to succeed, there needs to also be something for everyone. We want to bring additional players into Trials by offering an alternative experience more like Iron Banner in terms of the loot chase, but for 3v3. The focus here is on making it rewarding to play and not necessarily reliant almost entirely on wins to attract players who would otherwise avoid the current iteration of Trials entirely because of the perceived high-stakes nature. How do I say this delicately?
You're not. Just get it out. Just say how you really feel.
Not everything needs to be accessible to everybody. There needs to be an endgame PvP mode. And I would argue that Trials has always been seen as that pinnacle one, because Comp sure as fuck is not seen as that. Comp we talked about it ad nauseum. Comp has no rewards. Comp gets one weapon every 3 months. It's probably going to go down to one weapon every 6 months going forward.
Yeah.
Like, who knows how that's going to work? I'm sure I'm misremembering something. I'm sure it's going to be every 3 months. But the point remains, it doesn't have a very robust loot pool. It has an emblem and a transmat effect to get every season. Oh boy.
Yep.
My problem with this is I think you've already started doing this. You've made it easier to get trials engrams. You've made it easier to get the weapons. I'm sorry, if you want to get that stuff, you need to go work for it. I do not think adept weapons should be handed out.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with, and obviously it's not being said here, but I would have a problem with if you could just stroll in and get an adept weapon for playing X amount of matches. I
Hmm.
think this is going to encourage people going in and not trying, and just, remember when people used to just jump off the cliff to get trials rep and get trials engrams? Like, I kind of feel like that's where we're headed with this.
Yeah.
I don't like this because I think there has to be some kind of end game PvP reward, or chase or something like that. Like, the armor is no longer exclusive. Like, I don't think an armor glow and a special emblem are going to keep people coming back and wanting to go flawless every week, right?
Yeah.
Trials has always really struggled in D2, and people go, oh, Destiny 1 to Trials so much better. It's because it was the comp playlist in Destiny 1. It
Hmm.
was competitive. Crucible was a lot more casual back then.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot more care was being put into Crucible. Like, Crucible's been neglected for so long, it's not even funny. Like, we were saying this about Frontiers, I think it was last week or the week before, and we were like, there is fuck all in here about PvP content. And it's kind of how I feel right now. Like, oh boy, we're making trials for everyone. If trials is for everyone, it's for nobody. Like, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. And I understand that there are going to be some who are going to be like, well, they've made dungeons and raids more accessible. Yeah, and we've seen how people felt. Look at how the endgame PvE crowd felt about things like Pantheon. How we're feeling about there being contest mode for dungeons now. Contest combatant modifier is going to be a thing going forward in Apollo that you can put on anytime. I've been begging for that for years now. I'm so excited to see these challenges come in. That is lots of replayability for people who love endgame PvE. Endgame PvP deserves that same kind of love.
Yep.
But if you're gonna do that, you want to know the experience that you make accessible to everyone? Fucking Iron Banner. Fucking Iron Banner is supposed to be the one that's accessible to everyone.
Yep. I
We
mean,
do not
they
need.
made it a point to say that at one point, right? I mean,
Yes. From the beginning, from the
yeah,
beginning of fucking Destiny
that's
1,
what I'm.
it was an end game pursuit for PvP. And then when they introduced trials, they were like, hey, Iron Banner is kind of a way for you, if you don't raid, to go in and get pinnacle gear.
Yeah.
Trials is for like the best of the best.
Hmm.
Trials needs to be for the best of the best. But I do think that you run this interesting gauntlet of, you have to make trials rewarding for those people to play. But if you're gonna have a loot pool of like 8 weapons at any given time, plus the legacy weapons, guess what? People got to be able to get those weapons, because you know what? It's not. I saw somebody trying to draw the equivalence to Grandmaster Nightfalls. It is nowhere near the same thing. You can go do a regular ass Nightfall, or you can go do a hero Nightfall or a step up and still get those Nightfall weapons.
Yeah.
You can't do that in any playlist for PvP other than Trials. So you run this interesting dynamic of, you have to have rewards to get players in there. And I do understand, like, you're trying to get the trials population up. Like, the trials population is so bad in this game right now.
Hmm.
It's been abysmal for like a month and a half. It's been bad, and I think part of that is the length of an episode. But the other part of it is just like, it's just not fun to play. Like, Trials is just not in a good place.
Mm-mm.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And I understand that they're trying to boost those numbers, but I think that, the players who really enjoy playing Trials are going to be like, there is no challenge here.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be, oh, I only get matched with the sweats, this and that. Like, that's how the casual people feel, like myself. Oh my God, everyone I go up against is a sweat lord in any mode that I play at this point, because there is no dedicated competitive mode that is good in this game. There's
Right.
no comp 6v6. There's only comp 3v3. And, I was talking to Dealer about this. God, we must have been talking about this back in like the first Iron Banner that they did of Final Shape. And he was like, man, I just really want to play Iron Banner without having to like try. essentially. Like, I just want to play in lobbies with my friends who maybe aren't as good as me and not have to barely eke out like a 1.2 a match or
Hmm.
something like that. And I feel that on such a personal level because that's how I feel in my lobbies. And my lobbies are way easier. So like I get it.
Yep.
It's just frustrating. Like I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think opening it up to everyone is the answer. And that's what Ronnie raised here. Why make everything casual? What's the end game in PvP? Is there one anymore? I would say there is still one, and it's supposed to be Trials and Iron Banner. Those they've said those are their pinnacle experiences, and Iron Banner is not a pinnacle experience, let me tell you, but it actually has a loot pool. And like, if Trials is going to be your end game experience, like, I get it, kind of how we say like, oh, raids aren't for everyone, but dungeons are the more accessible end game. Like, not everyone's going to be able to get 6 people together to go do a raid. Well, not everyone's going to be able to get a god squad together to go to Trials.
Right.
So I think that's the devil's advocate that I would play is we restrict weapons to dungeons and raids, but we only throw a fit when they're restricted in Trials.
Right.
So I like the idea of being able to get Trials weapons, but Trials does need to be more. I mean, I'm kind of at the point where I think the Trials armor should be something that you only get if you're getting on those 7 win cards. I think that would add some prestige to it. That used to be something you could only get the armor by doing that, or by winning it during the week by getting 3, 5, or 7 wins. That's how it used to be. There were 3 different rewards a week, and I'd kind of like to see that go back. I Maybe you give out artifice armor for people who get to the lighthouse. I don't know. Like, you got to have some kind of challenge there, because if it is something that is for everybody, it's for nobody.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I've come to feel about Root of Nightmares. Is like, Root of Nightmares is like a great introductory experience to endgame rating, as far as I'm concerned. I kind of feel like that's how Iron Banner is supposed to be. Like, oh, you kind of dip your toes in Iron Banner, then you go, fuck around in the comp playlist, and then you decide you want to go do Trials. Like, Trials should be difficult. It should be a challenge. That is where the best players should be at. And also, like, can we stop getting rid of Trials on Iron Banner weekends? There's no reason to do that.
I really don't think there's a reason to do that. It was a
Uh,
nice idea, but it's not. Hmm, yeah. Stop
I
it.
think it gets people out of the cadence when you do that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy, Josh. What is going on?
I don't know, but I'm not particularly a fan of this. And Saint asked, does this mean they're going to make easier to obtain adepts? I don't think that's what it means at all. I think that so many people see Trials as just an inherently stressful and aggravating situation, which I don't fault them for thinking that way. I think that way myself too. Um, but they've made it so easy to go in and get gear now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand. Like, I think the rep gains need to be boosted for sure, but I don't think, other than that, I don't really think you need to tune too much more in terms of rewards for casual players.
Right.
I think it's perfectly fine to go in there and play. Like, if this means that you're going to get end of match rewards even if you lose, I don't know if I like that at all. That's where I feel like this is going, and I don't like that at all. I think
Mm-hmm.
that incentivizes people to just throw themselves off the map, and I fucking hate the idea of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely keep an eye on this. Again, this is stuff that's not coming until Heresy. I'm gonna need them to talk about this more in depth before I start raising the pitchforks too much. But just know, like, I'm like resting my hand on the pitchfork. Like, and I don't even like Trials. It's just that I think, like, you need to have a pinnacle experience. If you have pinnacle experiences, dungeons and
I
raids and master raids for PvE, you need to have, and Pantheon, like, you need to show some love to PvP.
I mean, I don't disagree with you at
No,
all.
I know you don't.
Um, you know, I there are just things you have to accept that maybe you just can't do,
Yep.
and that's okay.
Yep.
I've accepted that a long time ago, Josh, especially with, time and whatever, but like there's just things I'm just not going to be able to do on a regular basis anymore, right? Because of
Yep.
just life. And
Life.
life's tough. Get a helmet, everybody. Strap it on tight.
You ain't fucking wrong. Life's tough. Get a helmet.
Strap it on tight.
That always reminds me of Boy Meets World when Eric sets up to Corey, and Corey's like, "Huh?" and then he hits him on the head. I love
Yeah.
it.
Nice.
And beyond. Trials isn't the only thing that's going to be getting a major update in Heresy. We're also making big changes to the way we organize and schedule our playlists, rebuilding skill tracking system, and making substantial updates to the way rank is rewarded in competitive. So Sandbox, we're investigating adding additional Crucible-specific tuning for ability uptime. Love that. We're looking at Crucible-focused tuning for Storm's Edge and Knucklehead Radar exotic armor, and the modified Supremacy mode hardware will also be returning to labs after Revenant's first Iron Banner weeks. So excited for hardware. I like hardware. I like the idea of it. I'm a big fan. Playlist reorganization. God, again. We're going to be focused on we're going to
Stop.
focus on offering a good variety of options with minimal overlap in terms of experience without splitting the population into too many individual silos. Our goal is to use what we've learned over the last year with an aim to consolidate and solidify playlists into options that better represent the experiences Destiny PvP can offer without negatively affecting matchmaking times or connection quality. What the fuck ever. I don't even know what that means. Like, are you gonna have we gonna have I don't know, control, clash, and momentum in one playlist and party mode in the other or
Right.
something?
Like, what do you.
That's how this kind of reads to me.
Why
I
can't
don't
we
know.
just, like, why did. Josh, can you answer
This is
something for me?
needlessly complicated.
Can you answer me one thing?
Yes.
Remember in Halo how simple playlists were back then? And it was like Slayer, Team Slayer, King of the Hill, Oddball.
I
Why
get
why
I get
can't
why
this.
they don't I get why they don't want to fracture it out that much. Like in today's day and age, I do think that's a challenge, especially in a game with a much lower population like Destiny. I don't understand how other games seemingly don't run into this problem.
Ex-
I don't understand. Like I play a fair amount of Call of Duty. You have the normal playlist, which will throw you into team deathmatch or into basically their version of Control. It'll turn into King of the Hill. Things like that will all be in there. And guess what? You can choose not to have to play some of those modes if you click on that node. Like if you just want to play Control, you can just play Control. If you want to play Clash and Control, you can do that. If you just want to play Momentum, you can do that. Like, why can we not get options like this? I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand. It's frustrating.
yeah, you are
And
not
then
kidding.
Iron Banner. We're planning to offer a more relaxed variant of Iron Banner with minimal matchmaking stratification and a focus on the less serious game modes like Fortress, Eruption, and an improved version of Tribute. We want to improve the Iron Banner experience, especially for casual and mixed skill fire teams, so we're investigating better sorting fire teams based on the skill variance present within them, and rewarding fire teams better in general to incentivize grouping up like we've been doing trials. I like rewarding fire teams to incentivize you grouping up. How much more casual does Iron Banner need to get, in my opinion? Like, I don't think that Fortress, Eruption, and Tribute are making it less competitive. Iron Banner Mayhem would be more casual. Iron Banner Momentum would be more casual. I don't think Tribute is relaxed and less serious. I definitely don't think Fortress is. I just murder myself in Fortress 2 weeks ago. I don't understand that. Like Iron Banner also needs an overhaul. And I feel we say this every couple of months. Like fix fix these two modes, fix PvP in some way, shape, or form. I get that you just fired half the strike team, but please fix this.
Yeah.
Please. I
I
know
just
that
I don't
I know that Crucible is on life support right now. At least it hasn't gone the way of Gambit yet, but man,
I don't
it feels so bad that so many of the Crucible people who are like dedicated to building a great PvP experience either got fired or went to Marathon. And I know there are still people there who care about PvP, but they are fighting a losing battle right now.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't and I know like gosh, Bungie is such a long way from the Halo days at this point to where the team most of the team is just
It's not even
not
the
even
same
the same
studio at this
studio,
point.
but like
Yeah.
with a with a studio that has such a legacy of multiplayer, like and maybe it was not intended that their multiplayer was great, but like I don't understand why like the PvP is still like just
Dog shit.
second. It's just a second thought at this point. It's just like it's
It's been
there.
I hot take. It has been an afterthought ever since Beyond Light came out.
Yeah.
They yanked out half the maps, and I really think that once stasis was put in, PvP was broken in a way that it's never been able to get back to. Although I will say we had an once we got that all tuned, we had an awesome sandbox during the 30th anniversary.
Hmm.
We had a great PvP sandbox during that. Even if, the playlist health wasn't quite there, that was definitely the best time to be playing Trials. That was after the first major Trials rework, and it was actually good.
Hmm.
Like we were playing Trials regularly. It was more accessible than ever for those of us with mixed skill.
Hmm.
And now I feel like even those of us with mixed skill don't want to go play, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I know that that's a problem, and they're looking at this as a numbers game of, okay, how do we get more people to come play this and spend more time in our game? And I don't think pissing off the players that are supposed to enjoy Trials is the way to do it.
I'm not
Same
sure
with
that's
Iron Banner. Like, casuals don't really want to go play Iron Banner anymore, and part of that's because just the weapons aren't great. Like, the weapons aren't great. When we haven't gotten armor in a hot minute either
hmm
for it. And I think we get it like once a year at this point, which is fine. But the last set we got was the Iron Banner D1 set.
Yep. It's still isn't that still the set? That's still the
I
set.
I truthfully don't remember, and that's why I'm like hesitating going
I
in
don't.
too hard on that specific topic
Yeah.
because I can't tell you the last time I cared about a piece of Iron Banner armor.
I don't remember because they added all the legacy stuff
Yeah.
too that you
Yep.
can,
Yep.
and I just don't remember which set is
Which
which at this point.
admittedly that is a great idea for the health
Sure.
of your
Yeah.
playlist.
As long
I
as you're adding stuff, right? I mean,
I love the opportunity to get old shaders and cosmetics and things like that. Big fan of it. I would argue there need to be more cosmetics in these playlists, though. Like I've been saying this for you guys know, I've been saying this for forever. Add some special transmat effects. Add an emblem that evolves over time. The more that you go flawless. I think a different Trials emblem every season would be something that would get people in there. Transmat effect that evolves similar to the comp playlist. Give me some special Give me some special Trials ornaments for exotic weapons that you get out of that final chest if you go flawless.
right.
Give me some of that. I truly think like if you did that, that would get people into that playlist. That would
Hmm.
get people playing more because oh my god, I really want to go. I really want to go flawless because I want to get this. Now it'll lead to a lot of complaining, sure, but hey, maybe you make it to where the only way to get this for like the first 3, 4, I don't know, I can't say seasons anymore, but for the first year that it's available, the only way to get it is out of the flawless chest, and then after that, you have a 10% chance of it dropping from a trials victory.
Right.
I don't know. Like you could do something like that. Make the armor exclusive to flawless chests for the first year and then make it available to everyone else. That way if people see you wearing it, they know that you're a big shot.
Right.
Like there are certain things you can do here without having to focus everything around fuck, I gotta go grind out for the trials weapons. Like, yeah, go play a few matches, get yourself some Ingrams, and be able to get the weapons.
Hmm.
I honestly think if you just made it to where you could go that people could go buy a roll of the weapon after a few matches, that they'd be happy.
Yeah.
Get it in their loot pool at least. Like, hand out the Ingrams a little bit more. Like, on loss, have a chance to give one. On a win, guarantee an Ingram.
Yep.
Like, and like make it like the legacy ones. Like, oh, it's not in your loot pool. It's gonna cost you 5 Ingrams to buy that weapon and get it into your loot pool, or you can go fucking play it like everyone else.
Right.
You have 2 choices. Like, you want more rolls of it, guess what, you're gonna have to go earn them. You can buy one here, you can keep grinding out those Ingrams, but at that point you might as well just play the game mode.
Right.
We have one other change that they want to do, and that's the skill system. We want the skill system to be more transparent and easily understood so players can get a better feeling of where they sit relative to other players for matchmaking purposes. Comp point gains should feel like they make sense, and the ladder you climb should be more easily understood. So we're going to move back to a system where player performance in match has more of a direct impact on how much you gain or lose. Winning and losing will always be the biggest factor, but your performance can help give you a boost upwards or offset a close loss, and each player should be able to easily understand why they earned the amount they did. Speaking of comp, we also want to improve collisions gameplay and investigate ways to make the matches feel fair and make the game mechanics more predictable. Examples include making it so contesting a zone flips at neutral so neither team gains points if both teams are inside it, making zone rotations less random by preventing next zone from spawning next to the active zone, experimenting with different timings for the zone moving. We're also going to add a variant of collision to private matches and Crucible labs for players to experiment with, where the zone takes much longer to capture and awards a single point, then rotates once it's been capped. I cannot speak to comp. I do not play comp. I do not touch it. I think I've played like a total of maybe 10 comp matches ever. Mm-hmm. It is something that holds no value to me whatsoever. I say that knowing that I need to go get the I believe it's an auto rifle out of it. Whatever the current weapon is, like, I know I need to go get it. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And it would behoove me to go do it sooner rather than later. But I just haven't done it because the comp playlist is nothing to me.
Right.
So adding weapons was the first, that's the first way to do it, but yeah. Yeah. I don't think there is anything else. There's nothing else here. That's literally the end of the Schwab. It's not even joking. That's literally the end of the Schwab. That is a lot. That is a lot of updates that we got this week.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is stuff for the future.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Mm-hmm. We're at that point in the episode where you have to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's just PvP, man. I don't even know what to say anymore sometimes. Fingers crossed, I guess. That's all
Fingers crossed. I don't think that I'm ready to sound the alarm on. I just spent 20 minutes complaining about trials. I don't think I'm really ready to sound the alarm on this update yet. Again, I'm always a proponent of let's see how it plays out in game before we freak out too badly. But I just don't see any positive coming from this. And I mean, you say you want Iron Banner to be more casual. I think if you relax the matchmaking, that'll definitely make it more casual. Upping the rewards definitely would make it feel more casual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to have a more steady cadence of rewards. I mean, while we're at it, can I get some Iron Banner themed ornaments for some of our exotics and maybe make those, Iron Banner pursuits for the season? Maybe put that on the second reset instead of the fucking shaders.
Right.
Like, the fact I have to go through 2 full resets to get a shader is insane. I'd rather just wait until the next season and try and get it.
Yeah.
Can we get some new Iron Banner ships? Where's a Trials of Osiris skimmer? Where's a trial skimmer? Where's an Iron Banner skimmer? A comp one? Like, there are so many layups you could just have here. Give me an ornament for the exotic class items from those,
Yeah.
that are attainable only from going flawless, from winning 50 Iron Banner matches in a season. That's insane. Don't actually take that suggestion, Bungie. I'm just throwing things out there. But like, in terms of rewards, like, the rewards have to get better, and they got to get better fast
Mm-hmm.
in these playlists, because right now they are so ridiculously unrewarding. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct.
That's where I'm at, and I don't want it to sound like, oh my god, he fucking hates Bungie. Like, no, it's just, I recognize how hard it's going to be to do any of the stuff I just listed off with 40% of your workforce gone. I fucking get that.
Yeah.
Because that's 40% of Bungie as a whole. That's not 40% of the Destiny team. That's 40% of Bungie as a whole. Like, you got to remember, there's still at Bungie, there's still a full-on marathon team. There's still people who work in, marketing and comms, barely. But, there's people who are there. There's people who are in, just in incubation. There's, upper leadership. There's HR. There's things like that. Like, there's these other roles that all go into that head count. And I don't know, like, I don't want to sit here and put some arbitrary number on how many people are on Destiny, but it's certainly a lot less than there were this time last year.
I mean, I would say 4 months
I,
ago.
I would say, yeah, I would say of the 40% you lost. I mean, obviously, a good chunk of that, like 100 of them are still going to work on, fucking 100 people, dude, are still going to work on gummy bears
Yeah.
under PlayStation, but like, that means those are people who already weren't working on Destiny. Like, most of the people who got laid off were Destiny. They weren't working on Marathon. They were working on Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So, or are they people who have been there for forever? Like, if fucking Michael Salvatore, Luke Smith, and Mark Noseworthy are expendable, then I don't want to know about what's going on in there.
Yeah.
That's just what I come down to. So I'm not going to turn this into another Bungie gripe session, but I do think, like, they need to have a serious conversation at that studio about what is the future of Crucible,
Yeah.
because right now there's just PvP's on life support, man. And
Yeah.
I like some of the changes you're talking about here with Trials, and I like some of the Iron Banner stuff, but then for everything I like, I think there's something that's equally as baffling.
Yep.
And I'm more baffled than I am excited at this point about these modes. And I mean, because, well, control's not fun for me anymore. It's control. Great. People don't play the fucking objective, so it's not fun for me.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I know.
playing Iron Banner control, I would prefer to play Iron Banner control, but I can't tell you the amount of teammates who just don't cap zones, and it's
Yeah.
infuriating.
Yeah.
If you're going to play an objective-based PvP, you have to do the objectives in addition to slaying it.
I mean,
Not everybody can go be the Slayer.
I mean, the playing the objective is more fun to me than shooting people. I mean, I maybe it's just because we've been playing.
No, because we're
for so
not
long.
good at it.
Well, yeah, that too. But but I mean, like, it's just, oh my god. Sorry, I'm complaining now.
No, I think we're both at that point where we're just kind of like complaining in a circle.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be. It's happening.
It's not great. We do have a couple of questions tonight because we did so much, so much reading. I am still dealing from some tooth pain, specifically like towards the back of my jaw, which I'm hopefully getting alleviated tomorrow. With that, it makes it really hard for me to talk for long periods without being in pain. So we're going to do questions and then get out of here tonight.
Yep.
We are going to skip lore corner. I hate doing it, but hopefully we can come back with lore corner next week, provided that everything works out for me tonight or tomorrow. We already took care of Ronnie and Saints comments and questions, so we got a couple questions from Panda. I know we hate talking about crossovers, but I ask this: if Activision was still part of running Destiny, do you think crossovers would be better like they are in COD, or the same as we have now? The crossovers in COD suck.
Yeah.
They suck. I'm sorry. Nothing about throwing
Cheech and Chong in Call of Duty. Come
yeah,
on.
Cheech and Chong being in Call, Devin Booker being in Call of Duty. I think that's like, I can think that's lame, but I know that skin sold like hotcakes. Um, they just did a whole WWE themed season essentially.
Yeah.
Like, again, cool. Like, that's again, that plays to a very specific crowd that plays Call of Duty. But like, Michael Myers is in the past this season. We had Rick Grimes in the past earlier. Last year we had an entire Spawn themed pass, including 3 variations of Spawn and like 6 other characters from the series, which I thought was absurd.
Right.
Now, I got that pass because I like Spawn and I love Keith David, but like Snoop Dogg was one of the ones in the in the pass earlier this year. Like, I just
You don't
I
like a little
don't
Snoop de Loop in your Call of Duty there, Josh?
dude, like fucking Alucard is in it from Helsing. You have who's in it right now? I just said Michael Myers. Um I'll put it this way, Call of Duty is trying really hard to appeal to the Fortnite crowd, and I
Yeah.
don't like it. Like, I fucking hate the crossovers in Destiny, but I will take them any day over the ones in Call of Duty.
I mean, come on. Snoop Dogg versus Nicki Minaj on
Jesus Christ.
on
21
the
Savage. 21 Savage, man.
on the 800th version of Nuketown.
Excuse me, we did not have Nuketown in this Call of Duty. We did, however, have like 6 variations of Shipment.
Oh, well,
Um,
sorry.
yeah, so God, Corey, wrong Call of Duty subfamily.
Sorry.
Um, with the
I'm not even
second
a real
season of The
gamer.
Last of Us on the horizon, how do you think they're going to handle the big change that happens in the second game in the show? By putting it on television?
I don't know. I didn't play the game and I didn't watch first season. So
Corey doesn't like The Last of Us.
I will not play The Last of Us.
So I'll take the liberty of answering this one. No, I mean they're gonna adapt it like in the game. Like, straight up, I expect there to be a little bit more like non-game
I
content in this season because you want to drag that out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're gonna do is split the second game into 2 seasons, in my opinion, to
2,
line
possibly 3.
the whatever the last season is up with the third game, which is inevitably in development.
Yeah, and I mean that was a question that I saw getting posed earlier today. It's really funny that this got asked. I saw it getting asked by somebody earlier today, and I forget who it was, but saying basically like, what are we gonna do when they run out of the content for the games? Are you just gonna like put the show on
There's
hiatus for like 4 years or something?
but there's so much you could do in that in between time
Oh,
between the games, right? I mean, like
I
you could
think so,
totally
but
do
I
that.
mean, then you watch they released the trailer today for Last of Us Day, and I mean, it very clearly is showing the stuff from the second game. They are not doing it. I do not think they are doing as much outside the games as we think they are. And obviously, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't played the game, um, and who is just getting into this franchise with the show. But like, yeah, there's some pretty big stuff that's going to happen, and it's a question of how early in the season are you going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think there are a number of paths you can take. I would expect to see focus on a new character,
Mhm.
a little bit heavier than maybe Joel and Ellie at the beginning, just to
Yeah.
like kind of justify dragging this out.
I would
Um,
totally expect that at this point.
I would expect that at this point. But I always said that I really would have loved the second season of the show to really be that in between content from the end of The Last of Us 1 to the beginning of The Last of Us 2, because there
May-
is a several year gap there.
I mean, maybe they'll explore that part with if they're going to drag out the new characters kind of introduction. They
I hope
could
they
do that.
do.
They could do that, I think. Like at least for like
Yeah.
two, like in an episode or two. But
Yeah, it takes so this takes place 4 years after the first Last of Us, after the first season. You could do so much in that 4 years in between, and I really think you should.
mhm,
Um, God, it's so frustrating.
yeah,
It's just so frustrating. But yeah, there is inevitably going to be a third game. I was really hoping they would adapt. more of Left Behind.
Mm.
I know they do in the first season, but I would really like to see, I don't know, show me some more side adventures. I don't
Yeah.
know, like there's so much in this world you can and should do. Like you need to continue building the relationship between, Joel and Ellie, and it's just a question of when do you do it?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of running out of that. Like I
Do
I
you
can't
and
really say much without spoiling it.
yeah,
So
I mean
I'm
that's a pretty
deliberately
big spoiler.
yeah, I'm deliberately dancing around this, but like if you really want to know,
You can go look it up.
you can go look it up, you can DM me, you can do something like that because it's I get it, like the game is 4 years old, but with a whole new audience being exposed to it through the HBO show, I'm trying to be really delicate about spoilers. Normally, after like 4 or 5 years, I wouldn't care, but
Yeah,
I
and
do
also even if it
care.
was just the game and not the show, I wouldn't care at this point, right? I mean,
That's what I'm saying. If it was just about the game, I wouldn't really care about discussing spoilers. But I do understand there are a lot of people like my partner who have only ever experienced the show
mhm.
and have not experienced the games. So um yeah, there's uh there's questions. And then the last question we have, it's that time of the year where I start asking sports questions. That being said, what are y'all's thoughts on your respective NFL teams?
Don't get me started. I don't.
Corey, how are you enjoying Deshaun Watson right now?
God, I fucking hate that guy, man. I mm. It's bad, Josh. Let me tell you, it is bad. It is bad. It's just bad. I don't know what other word to use.
It's just bad.
Yeah, it's just bad. I don't know how else to explain it. I wish he was out of here. I wish he was gone. I wish we would get rid of him. I hope they find a loophole in his contract because they are very clearly desperately trying. Um, how about you, Josh? I know you are having a better time this season than I am.
Well, first of all, I want to correct something I said about Last of Us. They did cover Left Behind. I've slept a lot since season one aired.
I've
Also,
slept a lot.
your boy didn't finish it. But they did actually. Funny enough, I quit one episode before this. They did cover the Left Behind DLC in one of the episodes, so I should say that. That being said, I'm pleasantly surprised with the Seahawks this year. We are 3-0 to start the season off when you're listening to this. First real test is against the Detroit Lions this coming week. But yeah, I went into the season with no expectations. Brand new coach, brand new coaching staff. Geno's looked awesome through 3 weeks. Really like how the defense actually looks elite, which it looks like it legitimately, like through the first 3 weeks. I know that, like, listen, they've played against Bo Nix, Skylar Thompson, and oh god, who did we play in week 2? Uh, the fucking Patriots. Like
Oh, Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, I was like, no, Drake May hasn't started for them yet. Who else is playing for them? Jacoby Brissett. I know that's not like the cream of the crop when it comes to QBs, but
It is
they
in Brownstown.
man, they've looked great. That defense has looked great. Devin Witherspoon is an absolute monster out on that field. I love Witherspoon. I love Reek Woolen. Julian Love looks fantastic. Every single bit deserving of that extension that he got. Very, very, very excited for how this group develops and how they continue to look. Um, but yeah, going in with no expectations has been great. They are atop the NFC West, 3-0. Every other team is, I believe, 1-2 at this point. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm going to enjoy this for as long as I can because it's inevitably the bottom is going to fall out like it did a couple years ago. We are already in the first game of the season before we even got to halftime. We were already on our third string left tackle, I believe. So not it was left or right tackle, one of the two. But it's never a reassuring sign when Stone Forsyth has to come in and play tackle for you when he's like your third string center.
Mm.
So Not feeling great there. It is what it is. I'm enjoying it, man. Like the Seahawks legends are still hanging around. Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch were all at the game. Michael Bennett was doing the pre games for the preseason. I think we all saw week one. Lynch was on the sideline with Mike McDonald giving him a shoulder massage during the game, telling him to just breathe.
Yep.
I thought that was really funny. The team actually genuinely played better after that. But yeah, no, it's fun. I'm less interested in the NFL right now, just because like my team is in a massive rebuilding state. As much as I enjoy watching football, NBA season is starting. Training camp begins in 1 week
It sure does.
for my beloved Dallas Mavericks, and I am so excited. The only basketball I have gotten since our devastating finals defeat is the Goran Dragic's farewell game, which I was so desperate for some basketball that I watched Team Luca play in that, which was just abysmal. But I would be lying if I said that seeing him, Jokic, Boban, Dirk, like all Chris Bosh, like everybody there together was really cool. Really, really, really looking forward to NBA season. Klay Thompson is a Maverick. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's
Genuinely, like you can't see it in my face because I'm in pain, but I'm really, really excited for Klay Thompson to be on the Mavs. A little bit bummed that Dennis Smith Jr. or not Dennis Smith Jr. Derek Jones Jr. had to be the price we paid on this one, but yeah, Klay Thompson, man, he is here and he is hooping already. He seems to really like the team. He can't bring his boats to Dallas, Texas, but he has traded them in for a bike. He's been riding around on the bike trails around here, down Katy Trail. So I think that's cool. Just man, I'm really really excited. I know that the Celtics did all their stuff the other day, and they're playing a game in Greece right now, I think. So they're officially opening up preseason overseas like we did last year. And yeah, Mavs open training camp in Las Vegas next week. I know Corey and I both are looking forward to NBA season. So
yes, I'm very much over the Browns already and ready for NBA to start. The Guardians though are in playoffs, so
the Rangers are not. The Rangers had the distinction of losing the final game ever played at the Coliseum in Oakland today, which kind of sums up the season in a nutshell, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
By the way,
and
man,
the Guardians can't lose in the first round because they're not in it. They got the bye.
I'm happy that the Guardians are actually in the playoffs. Like genuinely, I'm happy that they're in it. They've got the first round bye. I'm really devastated for the A's. Did you see the hat that they sold and it somehow got like through all the necessary approvals? It has A and then it has the apostrophe for the S, but they're like also fading behind it, so it looks like it spells out ass on the hat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you a picture of that. I wanted to buy one for posterity because as a kid I loved the Rangers, but I really love the Oakland A's because I would go out to visit my aunt every year in California, and we would drive up from Monterey to go see her friends that lived in Alameda. Alameda is literally down the street from the Coliseum. Alameda Island is. So we would go to cheap ass Oakland A's games in the afternoon and get to sit in the lower bowl for like $10. It was great. I can't tell you the amount of Oakland A's shit that I had as a kid. I loved the A's.
Nice.
So it's been really bittersweet for me. And not even bittersweet. Bittersweet would mean that there's some element of good to this. It's been downright horrifying to see how that franchise has been treated by its owner. I fucking hate Las Vegas. They're stealing another franchise. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that they ended up with both of them and the Raiders. I hate it. I hate it so much. I went through this with the Supersonics and leaving Seattle for fucking Oklahoma when I was younger, and now I'm having to go through this again, and I'm not a fan. So, yeah, it's weird being a fan of two teams in the same division, but yeah, I'll always have love for this. I know this was a football question that morphed into basketball and then into baseball, but Yeah, it's a fucking travesty what's happening. People were stealing seats from the Coliseum and walking out with them, and security was trying to stop them. There were just chants of people telling them let them go. And I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be like, damn, somebody steal a seat for me. I'll pay to get it delivered to Dallas.
I remember when they tore down the municipal stadium in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when they finally decided to build Jacobs Field and the Browns left. Um, that was a lot of seats being stolen. So
Yeah,
um,
I would love to have a seat from a stadium, but rest assured, if they ever tear down the old ballpark in Arlington that's across the street from the fucking warehouse that we play in now, I will be going and getting a seat from the 300 section where I've spent many a hot summer afternoon sitting in.
many a hot summer.
But Corey, I'm going to sit here and wax poetic for forever. My jaw is really hurting. Why don't you say we
Yeah.
get out of here for the night?
Yeah, let's get out of here. I want to thank everybody for watching or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. You can find us on Fridays on your podcast service of choice and on YouTube. Josh, thank you for your time tonight, as always. Where can we find you?
Regrettably, you can still find me on Twitter, Josh_Finn, 2 N's. And as a reminder, starting with the launch of Revenant, we are going to switch to every other week
Yeah.
in terms of episode drops. I had a few questions about this. I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago. People were asking. We're going to switch starting on that show on the 10th. So you'll get a show week for each act. Week 1, week 3, week 5 is the plan. And on those off weeks, obviously, unless there's holidays,
Yeah.
you'll get Xbox casuals on those off weeks.
Yeah.
To
And
free
that'll
up a
be,
night for Corey and I each week.
yeah.
To spend with family or to do other projects.
Yeah.
Or work because we're grown ass adults
Sometimes.
sometimes. But that is going to be the plan going forward. That will not impact dungeon review. Dungeon review will go up
Yeah.
next weekend. It will go up that weekend, so you'll get an episode on that Friday morning like you always would, and then sometime that weekend when I get a clear and get somebody to sit down and talk dungeon with me, we will come in and drop a dungeon review, hoping that we can talk about contest clear and talk about icebreaker a little bit. I want to be able to use icebreaker a little bit, provided that we get it, in order to be able to give you all a really good comprehensive episode, since we won't be back for 2 weeks after. So
Yeah.
we're going to see how this format works. This is because episodes are really fucking weird, but that is the plan right now,
Yeah. And I think
with all the story being dropped at once.
yeah. And I think also if something like really big drops, I think people know that Tower Casuals is our priority show. So like if we
Yes,
need to
100%.
push Xbox Casuals out a week to cover something
100%.
huge, then
Yeah,
yeah.
the plan going forward is tentatively to alternate weeks, but obviously there's holidays mixed in. I was already looking at what a schedule would look like. Holidays are mixed in. We're about to go into a busy holiday season.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm leaving
Gaming
for
news is going to kind of dry up a little bit.
yeah.
And if there happens to be like if there's a showcase, or say they do a live stream on an off week, we may come in and give y'all like 30 minutes of discussion,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like, you know, we're going to play it by ear. But right now, we do feel like with them promising everything being dropped in week 1 story wise, this
Mhm.
is the way to go for right now.
Yeah. And then
But
we'll
always subject to
reassess.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll reassess every couple months and see where the game's at, and
Yep.
um if there is enough content to go every week again, then we will make those changes.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we were open with you guys when we got the Frontiers reveal. It's going to be a little weird trying to do a show where you have a big drop like every few months instead of like something every week.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it to where, like, what do you do for 3 months?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And like Josh said, it'll free up a night for us to tackle other things, and we're gonna try to do some cool things surrounding other things. So
Yes, and Corey has a wife and family. I have a partner. We would like to be able to spend time with them and not have every single night of the week taken up.
nah.
That has become an increasingly difficult problem for both of us. Corey
Yeah.
for all the projects that he has, and for me with just our conflicting work schedules. So
Yeah.
kind of allows Monday night to be like family night in a lot of ways for us. So
Yeah. Speaking of family night, Josh, we're gonna have family night this weekend and watch Inside Out 2 because
ooh,
it's coming to Disney Plus. Very excited.
all right.
All right.
Corey, where can the people find you at?
Oh yeah, I forgot. If you want to find me, you can find me at I am Corey HG on them socials. Tower Casuals Fridays. Follow us, rate us, review us, subscribe wherever. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.